Why do you often take a one-size-fits-all approach to resolving problems rather than treating each occurrence as unique? For example, you generally resolve separation anxiety with frozen calms, let's say. Why?
Um, well, going through like 50 years of doing this, there's oodles of solutions to a single problem.
Mhm.
And so I like to try and work out pros and cons in terms of what's easy for these people to administer, what takes very little time, what's most effective, what's likely to work the best with the majority of dogs. And that's why I come up to the 1, 2, 3. Will this work with all dogs? No, but it'll work with most of them.
Mhm.
Then I hope from the 1, 2, 3 that people have learned how to generalize and modify. For example, on Top Dog Academy, I was responding to questions and I'm trying to think oh yeah, it was about a dog. They were following the schedule to the T and it'd work fine and the dog was sleeping through the nights, but the last 3 mornings the dog was peed in the crate. All right, new schedule. Someone take the dog out as late as possible at night. I used to do that at 1 a.m. here. I even said that. I always do the late night peas. So with two people, it's easy. Someone else gets up to do the early morning pee, which could be as early as 4:30. But the point is, last minute pee. Okay, then in the crate. So they go, with a Kong, so they fall asleep quickly, just a couple of bits of food in it, and they're asleep. Set the alarm. And depending on what they tell me they've been doing, all right, so set the alarm, change the schedule. So last minute pee, and then in the morning, it could be you've got to set the alarm for 6 a.m. or it could be 5:30, or it could be 5. That's what you're going to do tomorrow. If it's successful, set it 10 minutes later the next morning, 10 minutes later the next. I mean, so you can adjust the last thing at night and the first thing in the morning by 10 minutes each time. So, so you want to make sure you have a clean night. However, what will solve the problem is when your dog pees in the morning, you praise and you offer half a dozen food rewards, or 16 was what I did with Zuzu, our
Mhm.
dog. We adopted her and couldn't get her house trained. And you count them out. Good dog 1, good dog 2, good dog 3. You want to make an impression. And this is what will teach the dog to hold it till you wake up, because there's no fringe benefits for peeing in your crate. But if you wait until the alarm goes off, the owner comes and gets you, you go straight to pee and you cash in your urine for food treats. And also, if you are there but not paying attention, it will teach the dog to let you know. They will go to the door, especially once you've got the dog now house trained. Every time you go to the outside, you sit the dog before going through the door. The dog will go to the door and sit to say, I want to go out. And you notice that, and you'll end up doing it subconsciously. The dog will train you to let it out when it sits. So you
Mhm.
probably need some Poochie bells so you can ring them to let you open the door again to let it come in. So usually it works, but occasionally you need to adjust it a little. But when I've rank ordered treatments, 1, 2, 3, that means these are pretty damn good treatments that are largely going to be effective if the owner follows the instructions. And if it doesn't work, they then ask me and we refine them slightly. That's all. But I find that people are not very good generalizers with dog training instructions, which they're kind of like, if we teach them something else, humans generalize really quickly. And from experiences, like one rude New York taxi driver, and now they hate New Yorkers and won't go back to New York. They generalize to a whole state, okay? Um, Dogs don't. They learn exactly what we teach them. So that if you train a dog in the kitchen around dinner time, you've got a good kitchen dog at dinner time. May not work for your husband, may not work for you in the living room, may not work at other times. That's how dogs learn. When it comes to dog training, humans learn that way. You explain to them what to do, and they're simple instructions. But number one, they don't follow them, most owners. Oh, well, I thought he was getting it. No, we do this every day until they die. Training a dog is living with a dog. It's not a session you do and it's done. Okay. But number two, if it doesn't work, I wonder what's wrong here. Do you think the instruction was stupid if it's based on 120,000 puppies? No, I would say we need to generalize a little for your puppy. You know, there's no good letting him eat from a bowl on the table if he's a Jack Russell. You might do that with a Great Dane so they don't have to lower their head to eat. Okay, if you see what I mean? And so modify it. So when I say put the bowl on the table, I mean for tall dogs. I don't mean for little dogs. And that's where people have a lot of difficulty generalizing, but only when it comes to dog training. It's strange because everything else they would learn it and generalize.
Yeah, you bring up something that I've noticed a lot of people have trouble with is getting rid of the food bowl. The people that I've talked to that have a issue that involves, mouthing or bite inhibition, socialization, they usually get it because it's obviously important, whatever it was that's happened. Usually people with puppies that mouth a lot, so we're trying to teach the dog to be gentle. But other people, like let's say a dog with a poor recall, all right, for one of the first things you want to do, let's start hand feeding the dog. And I explain why, but it's really hard for people to put it together. And it's just like what you're saying, they don't generalize things well at all.
Yeah, if I had a paying client, which I no longer do that, so I'm writing stuff in books. I write down the 1, 2, 3s, and I may give a couple of examples that we may have to modify this slightly. But with a client, it's different. Here's the way I talk to clients. And I used to love doing this. And I would say, right, I got the idea of the problem, because I asked them, how do you want your dog to act?
Mm-hmm.
Once they start to tell their story, I stop them and say, why don't you tell me what the dog is doing that's upsetting you? When they've told me that, I say, well, how would you like the dog to act instead? So getting the dog to sit for greetings with people and for other dogs is their idea. I'm not going to suggest it till they've come up. I say that is a really good idea, because if he's sitting, he can't run up to other dogs. If he's sitting, he can't jump up and kiss people. That's a very good idea.